We had a very clear growth target, meaning that we wanted a machine that could quickly be retooled and would be capable of producing all varieties in large enough quantities for us to offer them to a mass market.
Our first thought was, oh my, why can't we use a normal machine? Our second thought was, wow, this is a real challenge.
The idea to design a machine that was capable of producing a whole line of shampoos fascinated me from the start.
Simulation means I know it'll work. Construction plans mean I think it'll work. There's a huge difference.
In the past, we used 5 machines to produce 5 different products. Today, we use 1 machine to run 5 different formats.
I was sure that Siemens was the right choice. In fact, they were the only choice.
This machine has given us unprecedented flexibility, like we never had before.
What we are doing within our industry is revolutionary.
It's the pride and joy of our employees, our clients, and my own, as it is partly my brainchild.
Hi Andrew, I was just wondering if you could give me a little bit of information about what you do here from the Perth office of Siemens and some of the objectives that the company would like to achieve.
Sure. Siemens in Western Australia have been here for well over 60 years. We have around 120 people, and what we cover from here is mobility with the rail services and rail software. We cover building technologies, which could be fire systems, building automation and security systems. We cover medical solutions, and that could be from imagery to things like X-ray and MRIs. Western Australians traditionally have the entrepreneurial spirit and the willingness to innovate. I think a really good example of that was when in 1983, I think it was, we brought home the America's Cup on the back of investment and also in the innovative technology that was employed in the now famous wing keel.
Could Western Australia lead the way with manufacturing?
I think Western Australia definitely has the potential to do so. We have the culture, we have the entrepreneurial spirit that has been around since ever I've known about Perth. I've been in Perth 16 years. We all heard about the America's Cup. That was done through innovation, through people speculating and making investments. I think that's what's needed now to take manufacturing to the next level. Well, firstly, the automation will play a big role. Most manufacturing plants in the past have had some form of automation, but when we combine the automation technology with the Internet of Things, it actually then creates a whole supply chain automation process. Whereas we have, as I said earlier, the machines talking to the products and vice versa. But couple that with simulation software and 3D printing, companies are now able to produce their product in a virtual world and test that product in a virtual world, and if necessary, make design changes and retest before they even go into production. So it definitely has potential benefits for Australian manufacturing. So a couple of examples of the product talking to the machine and vice versa. One of the plants in Germany is a water bottle plant, and the bottle through RFID technology can communicate with the machine to say it's got a white cap or it's got a black cap, and therefore it knows which line to go down to get packed. So that's one basic but good example of how the Internet of Things is working in manufacturing. The second example in the Siemens factory in Arnberg is where the PLC circuit board, when it's complete, it will communicate with the machine, and the machine will then know which particular circuit board is complete and direct it to the correct part of the plant for the next process. And how is that going to affect Siemens' business here in Australia? Well, Siemens has been for a very long time a technological company and innovative company, and all of this Industry 4.0 is something which fits into Siemens' DNA.
We're a small organisation, and we're funded through the Commonwealth, and our job is to facilitate those partnerships and those relationships. And if there's a project in that, then we can actually bring together potential funding to deliver on that project to bring about new outcomes. So we have just finished a economic development strategy and infrastructure priorities plan for Perth and Peel, and we've identified 7 key opportunities for the region to move forward into the future for new business investment and job growth. What we need to do is look at opportunities to be able to move those individuals who are already in that particular sector into other jobs. And in order to do that, we need to look at those opportunities that are going to create new business investment for the region, which then creates the jobs for the future. CME has estimated that there's 70% of the FIFO population actually comes out of the Perth region, and over the next 10 years, without the commodities issue that we've recently faced, moving from construction to operations in the resources sector, there's expected to be a drop of 105,000 jobs down to 87. And applying that 70%, that means over the next 10 years, over 12,000 people will be moving out of that sector back into Perth looking for alternative work. We feel that we need to develop the Outer Harbour as a priority for the region, which includes Latitude 32, and there's between that and some new intermodal sites in Mundijong and at Bullsbrook, we have the opportunity to create between 120,000 to 140,000 new jobs in that particular area.
We have a vision for Western Australia in the next 15 years. We see it being a world-leading place to live and do business, and I actually think that the outlook is very good. It's very positive. So, as I said during the forum, with the right policy settings going forward, the world's our oyster.
And if government were to invest in manufacturing and innovation, where would that money best be placed?
Chamber's perspective, and we've done a survey of business expectations on this, we have found that we don't believe that direct grants to businesses is the appropriate response. We find that it doesn't drive the level of innovation and effectiveness that we need to come out of the industry. What we have found is that the research and development taxation subsidy has provided a lot of direct benefits to the community, and we get great bang for our buck. So if we look at multipliers from the ABS across a range of industries, agriculture, tourism and others, it's all under for every $1 invested, we get under $2 in return. With that particular research and development tax incentive, we're getting returns of 11 to 1. So what we found is for under a $1.5 billion investment by the government in foregone tax revenue, we're getting a $16 billion return to the economy.
Today it's great to have such a collection of people in one spot. One of the most important things is the open-ended conversation. So it's not just today, but it's every other conversation like these. I was in a workshop yesterday afternoon through to yesterday evening in one of the big consulting houses, and just again it advances our understanding of ourselves. So self-awareness is the fundamental important thing to understand where we want to go to. So manufacturing, as I'm going to say it today, is actually not helpful as a definition. Manufacturing is one of those areas of topic that is completely disrupted by technology to the point where it's unmeasurable in the traditional sense. Well, I'd like to see research and development join with manufacturing because it is so dynamic, such a vibrant part of our community and so fundamentally important to creating a complex economy. We're often accused of being one-dimensional with iron ore, for example, or oil and gas, our resources sector, which is unfair because of the amount of technology that is involved in those industries, but we need a little bit more. We need a more complex economy that is not single commodity focused, but actually exportable by knowledge as much as goods.
How important is it to have events like this?
Well, it's important to get people out there really talking about these issues, but also to get the politicians here, to get people from industry here, and get everyone talking together. So it was an interesting mix. I recognised a few people that I've seen before, some people in tech industry, some in manufacturing industry, some retired people, some government people, some private sector people. So getting them all talking together. But of course it's important to then translate those words into action and to see that things actually happen. Well, it's important, I think, the government said we're not here to pick winners, but they are there to cooperate a bit more and not fight amongst themselves. It was take one example. After the last election change federally, there was a system called Commercialisation Australia, and then they changed it to call Accelerating Commercialisation. Pretty much the same system. It was giving money to get startups and people and innovative stuff gone. But they dropped the ball for about 18 months and they completely stopped all the funding because they were changing to the new system. They just changed the words around with less money, and it was so frustrating to the people who are actually going through the process trying to get the money and trying to get their innovative ideas off the ground. So things like that just cannot happen. It's really annoying to those people who are doing it. We are the state of innovation. We have always been isolated, innovative. A lot of people who live here were not born here, so they've come from other countries, other states. They've literally got get up and go about them. And if you do the research on entrepreneurship and innovation, wherever you find an isolated town, such as Perth, West Australia, that has got a lot of displaced population that have come from other places, you actually get a lot of entrepreneurship and new ideas, and we're seeing that across the range. Actually, manufacturing, I didn't know it was as big as 13%. What Peter said, I thought it was a bit smaller than that, and it's actually growing. It was 12.5% before. So there are pockets of manufacturing. People get very frustrated. People who are in manufacturing get very frustrated by, oh, we don't do manufacture stuff anymore. We actually do manufacture stuff in WA. Yes, they're quite small businesses, but there's 7,000, as the guy from Dale, I think it was, from CCI said, there's 7,000 different manufacturing companies here in WA. So it does exist.
Well, it seems after today's summit, Innovate Australia are well on their way to putting West Australia on the map as a state of innovation. I'm Nadia Hunter. See you next time.